Hello and welcome to the Paul Garcia Show. This is episode 9, and today I had the immense pleasure of speaking with the co-owner and co-founder of the Coffee Hound, April Fritzen. The Coffee Hound is a beloved local coffee shop in Bloomington and Normal, Illinois that has won the prestigious Panagraph Award for Best Local Coffee Shop for numerous consecutive years now. This place rocks, and it's one of my personal favorites. This episode was great, and without spoiling anything, I can tell you that we talked about all things coffee, all things business, and much, much more. If you enjoy episodes and conversations like these, where I go out and speak with some of the most amazing people from around Central Illinois, then please consider going to my page on patreon.com/Paul Garcia. It is here that you can gain exclusive access to bonus clips from each and every episode, bonus episodes each and every month, full-length HD video versions of each and every episode, and also contribute to the improvement and the continuation of this great show, all for just $4.99 each month. That's like a nice cup of coffee right there, each month. So if you want to hear more conversations with intelligent, inspiring, and experienced people from around here, then please go over to patreon.com/Paul Garcia. This helps out so much, and it's so appreciated you have no idea. I'll even give you a shout out at the end of each and every episode. That's patreon.com/Paul Garcia. Gas isn't cheap. It costs money to go talk to these people. So please consider helping out. All right, and speaking of helping out the show, let me tell you about 3 incredible local businesses that have been sponsoring this show since the beginning. They are Iroquois State Bank, Fairbury Furniture, and PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu. These guys are great, and please support them and listen up as I tell you about each of them for just 30 seconds each. If you're a farmer, you likely understand the frustration that comes with dealing with banks that just don't understand the financial aspects of farming, or farming in general. That's why you need to be doing your banking with Iroquois State Bank. This bank prides itself on its relationships with farmers, and it has been for over 100 years. Their current ag loan lender is Meister, and he understands the financial aspects of farming very well, because he grew up immersed in it in the farming community of Fairbury, Illinois. For all your farming financial needs, from operating lines to farmland loans, you need to call up Iroquois State Bank at 815-265-4707. Iroquois State Bank, trusted by farmers for over 100 years. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I bet you're sitting down right now. But if you're sitting in anything other than furniture from Fairbury Furniture, then you are missing out, my friend. Fairbury Furniture sells tons of the comfiest, most gorgeous, and most beloved brands of chairs, couches, beds, and tables. Their store is huge, and their selection is supreme. I was just in here last week looking for a new table for this podcast, and the selection was amazing. They've got loads of 5-star reviews because they're Central Illinois' premier furniture supplier. Everyone who goes to this place loves it, and so will you. So when you finally decide you deserve a comfortable and beautiful home, head to Fairbury Furniture in Fairbury, Illinois. They've been supporting this show since the very beginning. That's Fairbury Furniture in Fairbury, Illinois. I've got a simple question for you. Do you want to be a wimp for the rest of your life, or do you want to be tough, in shape, confident, and able to defend yourself? If you chose the latter, which I hope you did, then you should really consider signing up for jiu-jitsu classes at PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu in Normal. I personally love this place. The instructor is Jared Game, and he was on episode 6 of this very podcast, and he's incredible, both as a technician and as a man. The team here is amazing, and they are so welcoming to absolutely anybody. For elite-level fitness training and elite level self-defense and combative techniques, you need to check out PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu in Normal, Illinois. The prices are incredibly low and the education is incredibly high quality. Check them out because this place is awesome. All right, there we have it. Let these businesses know that the Paul Garcia Show sent you. Iroquois State Bank, Fairbury Furniture, and PSF Legacy Jiu-Jitsu. Thank you so much for sponsoring this show. Now, without any further ado, here's my conversation with co-owner of the beloved Coffee Hound, April Fritzen. April Fritzen, thank you very much for coming on again, I should say.
Sounds good. Happy to be here. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah, and for those of you who are listening right now, April and I spoke about 2 weeks ago at one of her locations in Bloomington at the Coffee Hound, and it was a good conversation. And I came home, started editing it, and as I was editing some of the audio, the system crashed and I lost all the sound. So April, being the kind woman that she is, agreed to come back on and chat with me. So April, I want to start things off with you recently received, well, I guess for 2020, you received the Pantograph Award for the best cup of coffee, basically, the favorite coffee place in the area. And that's nothing to sneeze at. That's actually a big deal because there's a lot of coffee places in Bloomington Normal, and it's the Twin Cities are huge. So I want to ask, why do you think that people love you so much? What makes the Coffee Hound so special?
Well, I think it's our connection to the community, our customers, our staff. We opened up in 2002. And at that time, honestly, there was hardly any coffee shops in town. And you're right, there is a lot more competition these days. And but at the same time, that just means the coffee culture has grown and people have even more of a love for the kinds of things that we're doing. But really, what gets us into what we're doing is the fact that we love serving our customers, interacting with our employees. My husband, Steve, and I are the owners, and we're there on our day-to-day involved in the cafes. We now have 3 locations and a roasting facility, but we make the rounds every morning, and my husband does the baking, and I do a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but I'll work bar too. Yeah.
Wow. So it sounds like you're totally invested.
Absolutely. It's just, I always find it exciting. And the reason why we have expanded is because we find it's a way to make more full-time positions for our staff and allow growth within the company. Because there's no doubt the more locations that we take on, we can't do it all. We really rely on other people, and we have employees that have worked with us for, up to 9 years.
To me, it sounds like you've got to be just up to your ears in work. Like, it sounds like you must be so busy. What's an average week look like for you?
It's a moving target for sure. I don't know how to explain it. I have so we're constantly just coming up with ideas, and that's just that creative aspect that I'm was talking about. And it isn't really just me and Steve always running everything. Like, I consider we have a team of people, and they're all good at what they do, and it's what makes it exciting. And even with the customers, we really listen. Like, I always, like, one of the things that I do every day is I look through reviews and I respond to my reviews. I interact with the customers. I want to get that feedback, whether it's good or bad. If it's something bad, I'm going to work to fix it. And if it's something great, I'm going to look to see, can we do more with that? What can we do? We added like an app this year, online app, and that has been the best tool for communicating with our customers. The way it's set up, like, every time you make a purchase, it gives you an opportunity to give feedback. And which at first I thought, I was just approached it thinking like, oh, it's really a way to interact with customers and make sure the app is doing as best it could. But I interact with customers. It doesn't matter, like, finding out, there's something that could have been better or we could add. And I listen to those customers. And if I can do it, I do. One of the things that's so hard to avoid, but we really intentionally work at, is not having that kind of coffee snobbery that can go along with this industry. Like, I always hate it if that's how we're perceived, because it's not. Like, when we're designing our menus and doing things, like, we do it based on what the demand is, not just what we think is right.
Well, that's interesting that you say, you as a person are a very nice individual, the furthest thing from a snob, but your coffee at the Coffee Hound does seem to be higher end. I mean, I say that because one, I've had it and it's really good quality. And also the place is beautiful. It seems like you take the design side of things very seriously, but also you've had employees that have placed very high in some national barista competitions. Am I correct in that?
You're absolutely right. So in 2003 was when competitions opened up within the Midwest. Prior to that, they just didn't exist. It was only something that was available more on the West Coast. And that's how small the industry was back then. It wasn't really in the Midwest or even on the East Coast very much. And we started competing right away. Myself, my husband, many of our staff, and my husband had a natural knack for it. And by 2006, he had made it to sixth in the nation as a U.S. barista champion.
Really quickly, what exactly does that entail? A barista champion?
Well, the competitions have changed quite a bit over the years, but at that time, you had a 15-minute routine that you did, that you served drinks to a panel of judges, and it was three basic judges that tasted everything, and then one head judge that kind of was there to look at consistency of scoring, like between the judges. And then so it was 3-4, I think it was 5 judges altogether, like a technical judge that just watched like your movements and all, like how you did things, how consistent you were. It was pretty intense, honestly.
Yeah, no kidding.
And you really had to work out a routine. You had to get it down to the science. So you served a shot of espresso, and then a cappuccino, and then what's called a signature drink, a drink that you create. What was great about it, whether you won or not, I mean, you got just fabulous feedback on what you were doing. It kind of put you at the forefront of all of the different things that were going on in the industry, what's new and exciting. And that was one of the things that we really loved about it, was that it was a way to connect with other people, professionals in the industry, and learn new things. I mean, an example, like keeping an eye, like discussions about at the time, espresso was very popular in being like a multi-bean, and where it would have a blend of different coffees. And then before like over time, then what's called single origin espresso came about. And I mean, just the morphing that takes place over time. And it's somebody way to connect with people and talk about and experiment with and get feedback, things like that. It was fun. We loved it, but we don't do it anymore on that level, because we have kids and more locations, and it really takes up a lot of time. But we do it on a smaller scale. Like we did have participated in cold brew competitions and won those. We've done pour over competitions, roasting competitions, and we've had great success in really all the competitions that we've done. And those are on a national level. So what's exciting is like, we have people that will stop by and visit our shop just because they've heard of us. And they've gone out of their way to visit. And it's fun when that happens. I love that.
So although coffee snobs might be attracted to your place, the Coffee Hound, just because of sheer quality of the work that you're doing, you'd rather be perceived as a business that wants to invite everyone, not just coffee snobs, but everyone, even those who don't know much about coffee. Is that fair to say?
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, because I want to share something I'm excited about. And it's not about, like, I just can't see telling people that it's wrong to put cream in their coffee or sugar in their coffee, because it's not. Like when we are profiling a coffee, I mean, like, for instance, our house blend, I mean, we've designed that coffee so that it will taste good with cream and sugar or black, like it's a very intentional thing. We want we know that a lot of customers like cream or sugar in their coffee, and we're not going to tell them that's wrong, because it isn't. I still enjoy a little cream in my coffee once in a while.
Awesome. That makes me feel good because I'm the same way. I enjoy cream and sugar in my coffee.
Exactly. Flavored coffees and things like that. So, those are the things like, so you get a small percentage of people who like a shot of espresso, but most people don't drink espresso. Most people are drinking milk-based drinks, and so we welcome that. And I find it exciting to try new and different things, no matter what it is. So there was years where we had a pour over bar in our shop, and I remember just us trying so hard to get customers to know what that is and try it and order it. And it took years, honestly, I kid you not, years for people to take an interest in ordering a single cup of coffee that's, is more expensive, and us educating them and getting them to try it. And now it's very popular. So, it's just that process of education with a customer and welcoming them in.
Yeah, it seems like you were playing the long game. You were bringing in that pour over bar that you knew wouldn't be a smash hit right away, probably. It would be a long game of educating and showing people the value in that thing. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. One game changer for us early on in the industry was iced coffee. I mean, cold coffees, when we first opened, that was barely a thing. I mean, people just thought of hot coffee. And so our summers were so slow. And then, cold brew and iced lattes started becoming more and more popular. And that was a big game changer. And then it's been, I want to say 6 years ago that we got those things on tap, and we started nitro coffee.
Oh, that is so cool. I love where this stuff is going, how coffee is evolving. I mean, it's so awesome. Yeah. You guys are at the forefront of the evolution, you could say. Like, you guys are the first to be.
We really do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And and it is, I mean, it's at first it's maybe people don't want this, because it was really hard. Like nitro, have you ever tried nitro coffee?
Oh yeah. Tons of times.
Okay. All right. And it was so hard to even get it up and going because to infuse that with the nitrogen, it's got to be a very specific food grade nitrogen. And at first, all we could find was beer nitrogen that's used for running taps for beer. And that was terrible. That just adds a real carbonated flavor, a funky flavor to it. And at first we had to get tanks all the way from Peoria. It's still an ordeal just to get nitrogen to our shops. It's not an easy, they just don't usually cater to our industry and how little, how much less we need. We don't need gigantic tanks. So we ended up having to buy our own tanks. We have to go to Praxair and get those filled up. But at the same time, we're well, that kind of makes it hard for other people, to offer that same thing because it's such a specialty item. Just things like that. We love experimenting with roast processes. So we've done some really neat things of infusion in bourbon barrels and then that's a community interaction. So we've done that with White Oak in town and with Distill in town. We've done collaborations with Little Beaver. And so those kind of things we love doing, where we can collaborate with other companies in town and do something creative. That's exciting. Yeah.
Man, that's exciting
I
to hear about. I
just get off topic.
Oh, I love it. You're excited. That's why you keep going on about it. And it's a joy to listen to. Now, I want to ask, so anyone that walks into any of your locations is going to see some posters on the wall of what looks like, I don't know how to explain the posters, but it looks like a bunch of posters of coffee farmers. What is that all about?
Well, I'm really glad that you noticed because, and you're right. I mean, those posters are there for education and they are not just stock photos. Those are our interactions with farmers at origin. So we have gone, my husband and I, let's see, where all have we gone? Our very first trip was to Guatemala. Then we went to Costa Rica, Colombia. Oh, the Colombia trip was amazing. And then Nicaragua. And we've been to Nicaragua several times because we've ended up kind of settling on a relationship out of Nicaragua. So that one we buy. Most of the pictures you see up there are trips to Nicaragua. And
you took those pictures?
Yeah, those are from our trips there, and with like farmers that we buy coffee from directly. Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool. And what's so special about this group, this organization that's kind of like the middleman between you and those coffee farmers? What's the catch there? Are they paying these farmers a more fair wage? Because I know that coffee farmers tend to get gypped in the supply chain thing. So
yeah, I know most people are very aware of fair trade coffee, which is a wonderful starting point for sourcing or having the ability to discern if you're buying coffee that has been ethically sourced from a consumer point of view. From a coffee buyer point of view, that is very minimal. When you're talking about trading on the market, fair trade coffee is only 10 cents. Is really only like 10 cents above the C market price. So if the C market price is only like $1.10, that means a farmer is making $1.20, maybe $1.15. And not $1.15. I mean, maybe like $1.25, $1.30 a pound for their coffee. With all honesty, farmers really need about $3.50 a pound for their coffee to be able to sustain quality in what they're doing and expand and make changes and grow and be able to plan and save. And there is hardly anyone in our industry that is paying that kind of money for coffee. But that is what we pay for coffee. So the products, like one of the comments that like we were talking about reviews earlier, once in a while I'll get, it seems like actually fairly regularly, people will be surprised and they'll be like, I can't believe their prices are just as high as that big chain competitor, if you know if you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, those are one of those things like where people don't realize, like, actually as a small company, we don't have the buying power that a large chain has. So for us to try to keep costs down is really difficult. But we're also paying way more for our coffee per pound than most competition does, because that's important to us. And that's something we started very early on. I mean, even before we roast our own coffee, we just happened to tie into companies that influenced us in that manner, that we had the opportunity to get educated and know the importance and the impact that we have on someone else's life. And we took that very seriously. So my husband and I are extremely proud of the fact that product that we serve touches lives from beginning to end, and that we want to make sure that everything about it is done in a way that is with respect.
I love it. It's simple concept. It costs money to pay people their worth. It costs money to do the right thing, to pay those farmers, a livable wage. So, I mean, people might not understand that if they just walk in and see a price and buy some coffee, but no, you got to keep the quality up. But more importantly, you got to keep these people's quality of life up and good.
Yeah.
So that's really great. And I respect that a lot. And now
I know,
ahead.
Like, big controversy in our industry right now, or just in general in Illinois, is that minimum wage is going up to $15 an hour, and so $15 an hour is kind of looking at the $3.50 a pound that we pay to our farmers, and that I actually am a supporter of the raise in minimum wage. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's huge and it's going to be hard, but we're working and planning and making tons of changes to be able to accommodate. And I feel like now we have a chance of being able to provide a living wage to our staff. And that's really important to us. And that's so, one of the solutions I have is increasing the number of full-time staff that we have over part-timers so that we can, work to get there more and more and have those valuable positions for people. And I love it that we get so many people that come work for us that don't look at this as just a job, that they take pride in what they're doing.
Well, so I want to kind of go back a little bit. You said that you've had a lot of employees work for you for a number of years. And I mean, the baristas at your place seem to take their job seriously. And you've had a number of them go on to work in bigger, big city coffee shops, like in Chicago, New York type of stuff. And I want to talk about a story that I read online. I'm from Fairbury, and that'll make sense here in a second. You traveled up to Chicago with the co-owner and your husband of the Coffee Hound, and went to a coffee shop where a former employee of yours worked. And you had a latte, I believe, there. And you said, "Wow, what's in this? This is an incredible latte." And they told you that they used Kilgis Super Milk. Super milk. I mean, that's interesting. Tell me more about that, because Kilgis is out of Fairbury, Illinois, and I know they make some good milk.
Yeah, close to home, right? Oh my gosh, it's so fun. So we were already using Kilgis milk at that time, and that was why we were surprised that it tastes so different. And first of all, we had been on a waiting list for, I would say, over a year, trying to get Kilgis milk. I mean, they just didn't have the capacity, they didn't have the capacity to deliver the milk to town. And I bugged Matt from Kilgis, and I would call and I would email and let them know how much we wanted that milk. So anyway, we finally got the milk. And then this former employee, we were in Chicago at Intelligentsia Coffee, which we were very familiar with Intelligentsia Coffee because that's the coffee we opened our shop with. We used them for 3 years. And so we had a great relationship with them. And so I immediately knew it wasn't just the coffee. I knew there was something different about this drink. And that's when he's like, well, we get what's called super milk from Kilgis. And so immediately I went back to Kilgis and I was like, what is the super milk? I got to have it. And so in the process of making milk, when they have, and I don't know if you visited their farm and done a little tour.
Yeah, I did some landscaping there. So.
Oh, did you? They're such a wonderful family, and it's just a special place. We love it. But when they milk the cows, they end up separating all the fat out, and then they blend back in after they've pasteurized it, and they'll blend back in a certain amount of fat. So their skim milk has all the fat out, then 2% milk, they put a little bit more fat in, then whole milk, and then half and half. Those are usually the basic stages of blending the fat back in. Well, they, for some reason, have one that's called, they called super milk, and it's just a 5%. It's got a little bit more fat content, not quite as much as half and half, but a little bit more than whole milk. And they don't sell it in the market. As a matter of fact, when it comes in the jug, it's in their whole milk jug. That's all they have, even though it's maybe just a little bit different, and it's fun. It's just a little something special, but it does lend to a little extra creaminess.
Oh, I bet it's exclusive.
Yeah.
Well, so in our last meeting, you actually spoke to me a little bit about the importance of planning ahead and writing a business plan for all entrepreneurs. You would recommend that they write a business plan. And could you talk about a little bit about what your plan was in the beginning and just how far ahead you were looking for the sake of, the Coffee Hound fans, but also any young entrepreneurs who are listening?
You bet. One thing I will say is over the years, I've had the pleasure of working with so many folks who aspire to be entrepreneurs. When you were bringing up about having had staff that work for me and they get a skill that they can take and work anywhere. We've even had one employee who's moved to England, and he roasted with us, but he ended up going over there. I want to say he just was getting to take some classes. He was in school, and he ended up meeting his wife that he's married to now, and they have kids and everything. But he opened up his own coffee shop there. And at the time, It was kind of at the forefront of specialty coffee. There weren't a lot of coffee shops there, and he's doing really well. And we have lots of fun little stories like that. So I love that. I've loved working with people and helping them to make their dreams come true over the years as well. When we started out, my husband, Steve wrote our business plan, and he did a really good job because he put together a 5-year and 10-year plan when he did that. We were tossing around, are we going to open up a location in Bloomington or where we want to open it up at? And we really actually were trying to find something in Uptown Normal because of the university. It made sense.
Oh, yeah.
But there wasn't anything available at the time. And downtown Bloomington was really starting to do a lot of rehabs on buildings down there. And we found the location that we first opened up in downtown, and it worked out great. But we wrote into our plan to eventually have a campus location. And so that was our goal, was within 5 years. And actually 3 years later, we opened up Coffee Hound at Uptown Normal. And then we had a 10-year plan of roasting our own coffee. Well, we ended up doing that at year 4. So we ended up hitting all those goals. Yeah, hitting all those goals a little bit sooner than later.
Wow, very interesting. Yeah, congrats on that.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've experienced a lot as far as business development goes, and it's worked out in your favor. So I want to ask, do you have any advice for, some people that are just getting started in their business development journeys? What was maybe something important that you learned that you wish you would have known going into the whole thing?
I don't know that, because I don't have any regrets. I mean, but I can definitely give words of wisdom. So when the business plan part, and it's one of the first things I say to anyone that I am meeting with, is, do you have a business plan? If they don't have a business plan, they have to have one. I don't take them serious that they're opening up a business if they don't. People do it all the time. They do. But your chance of succeeding is much higher if you have a business plan. And the purpose of that is that you get it's like you've got this huge dream, this big vision. And if you put it on paper, it actually gets you grounded. It helps you work out the fantasy part of it. And at the same time, it helps to bring that dream to life. So I just highly, highly recommend, if you think you have any kind of passion for anything, that you want to start a business, put it on paper, follow the template of a business plan, and it will help you bring that dream to life in a successful way.
There's something about taking things that only live in your mind and putting them into the real world, whether it be on paper like that and then reading them, that just makes it seem a lot more realistic and, real.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it helps you to work out the details and figure out what all needs to be done to make this happen. Because a lot of times, like when people first start thinking about, for example, opening up a coffee shop, they think about like, where they're going to put their seating nook and and like what it's going to look like. But the technical aspect of it is the fact that like you need to be, have everything planned out for efficiency. Like, where is everything going to get laid out? How are you going to, hand the drink off to the customer, make it, efficient for like that you're not having to walk across the room to put syrups in your cup. It needs to be right next to you. So many little things like that I can tell you with every new location that we open, we get better at. That's why we've got, so Bloomington is like our biggest location, and every location got smaller instead of bigger when you think about it, because we were able to be that much more efficient with our planning.
Well, so since the inception of the Coffee Hound, you've always been looking ahead, playing the long game, looking 10 years ahead. And then when you had the pour over station that you mentioned, you're playing the long game. You were going to educate your customers and everything like that. So you're always looking ahead, planning for the future, preparing for the future.
Yep.
So I want to ask you now then, what are the plans that you have for the future of the Coffee Hound now? What's in store? What can your fans expect?
We already have things on the table. Our online store from the pandemic has had exponential growth. I mean, let's see. I think our gross was, I think we ended up 556% over the year before.
Holy moly.
I was like, I didn't even know percentages could go up that high. So online store, I mean, that was great for us because that's something that we have really wanted to see grow, because it's a way to like expand beyond just our immediate community and reach other people. So that was just wonderful. We actually gained a lot of wholesale customers. And so we're providing coffee to new customers and got into more grocery stores, things like that. I have been on the lookout for a drive-through location. I would love to be able to open up a drive-through on the east side of Bloomington. I haven't found the right spot for me. I've explored plenty, but in searching, we have ended up purchasing. We haven't officially signed the paperwork yet, but it's so close. But it's not like a secret or anything, but we are opening up a location in Lexington, Illinois. And so we should take possession of that April 1st is what it tentatively looks like. And that came about partially because we rent our roasting facility and we wanted to own our own spot. And we have like a year left on that lease. So this property has a place where we can move the roastery, but it also had another building on it. And we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to put a cafe and drive-through in there. So we're actually going to do that first. So starting in April, we'll start building that out. And then because we have really like more of a year left at our other place where we're roasting, and then we'll move our roastery out there. So that's exciting. So we're going to have another cafe. And then we have one other cafe that we're opening. So we're opening 2 cafes in 2021. The second one I am in NDA, so I can't say that. Right. There is one other spot coming up. Yeah.
Got it. So one more time, the Lexington location is going to be where your roastery is, correct? Sorry. Oh, you're good.
Yes, it is. So there's we'll have the 2 different buildings on the same property. So one will be like a warehouse where we house all of our green coffees, roast our coffees. And then the other will be a cafe and drive-through.
Oh, and it's right on the main street.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Daddy, come
here. Oh, she's so cute.
She is a good dog. She just got excited because my husband walked outside. All right. Packages coming.
All right. Well, you got some exciting news then. That is awesome to hear. I can't wait to go to that place myself because I'm in Lexington all the time. And, we're just about ready to wrap this whole thing up then. It's been a pleasure talking to you. But is there anything else you'd like to say before we do so?
Hopefully you got out of it, but everything that you wanted. If you have any more questions for me, just reach out. But you're doing a great job. I think it's fun that you're, just have that entrepreneurial spirit yourself. So if you ever want to talk about, owning your own business or do whatever you want to do, please reach out.
Will do. Thank you very much. And those kind words mean a lot to me.
Awesome. Great job.
Thanks. April Fritzen, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Paul.
And all great things must come to an end. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on Facebook, Instagram, or any social media platform, and send it to your friends. And if you're listening on a podcast platform, please feel free to leave us a solid review. Be sure to check out the show's sponsors, and if you enjoy the Paul Garcia Show as a whole, I would absolutely love it if you would become an exclusive member for just $4.99 on patreon.com/Paul Garcia. As always, thank you so much for listening. God bless and have a great week.